Shooting from the Lip features views and opinions from smart, funny, serious, and not so serious people. This show is intended for a mature and not so mature audience. Enjoy the show!
What is up, everyone? Kevin Hale up in this house trying to give it to you on this Monday night, January 30th, 2017. I'm a little under the weather. Actually, I'm lying. I'm a lot under the weather. But I wanted to still do a show with the guys because, you know, every day in the real world that we live in, Donald Trump, as our president, will always give us a nice topic for Monday nights. And what's sad, guys, is I just sprayed some chloroseptic in my mouth, yummy, is that, Russ, we have to wait a week before we talk again about the latest and greatest from our president. So to get the party started, Russ, okay, got Russ
here,
and Sean, got my man Sean. What's up, Sean?
Roger Wilco.
And Heather, my Sunday night partner in crime, going to join us for this first little topic with the guys. Heather, what's up, lady?
Oh, good evening, Kevin. I am so sorry you're sick. That's terrible. But this weather is killing everyone.
It's what it is, this lovely Ohio Valley of ours. Let's go on and get things started. I'm going to just throw things out there and let you guys do the talking. Immigration, a hot topic the last couple of days.
Yes, it has been.
Heather, share with us your mom's role, what she does, and actually just to get everyone acclimated, share with the listeners kind of what has transpired with immigration in the last 48 hours, just a brief highlight, then go into how your mom is involved.
Sure. So as everyone is well aware, because it's been everywhere unless you live under a rock, President Trump signed an executive order suspending entry for all refugees for 120 days. This is regarding Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and I think Yemen is the other one, maybe. Those are the 7 countries. And, like I said earlier, entry for refugees suspended for 120 days. Citizens cannot, have entry, I think, just for 90 days. And I'm assuming, and this is where I got confused when I was reading the executive order. Refugees are the 120-day citizens. I'm assuming are people who come here, maybe on business or something. It's 90 days before, I guess, they can come into the country. There are exemptions, obviously. They're listed in the document. A lot of it had to do with ambassadors and people going to the United Nations, kind of government officials, so on and so forth. This also, card holders could not re-enter the country as well, which is why you saw all the chaos in the airport. And a big part of the criticism, not only is that, we can't allow these refugees to come into the country who are pretty much facing religious or political persecution in their homeland, but people are criticizing that, in the executive order, President Trump cited, the 9/11 terrorists, and ironically, a majority of them were from Saudi Arabia, some were from Egypt, and some were from the UAE. And by the way, those 3 countries are not listed in the executive order. Is that a good breakdown so far? Okay.
Thank
so anyway, yeah. So anyway, just to kind of give everyone a background, and I mentioned this to you guys last Monday night, my mom worked for Jim Bunning for 21 years. Her area of expertise was immigration. And I was telling Kevin a little earlier, my mom has actually been tapped by the Today Show to be a contributor for an upcoming piece they are doing on immigration in the U.S. And it all centers around the ban and, what could be done to maybe streamline what President Trump has done, or, should it go away totally, so on and so forth. My mom's going to lend her expertise, right, because she did it for 21 years. But what's interesting is hearing my mom's take. I don't know if you guys remember Bob Woodruff, who works for ABC News. He was, and I forget how many years ago this was, I think it was during George W. Bush's Operation Iraqi Freedom, or whatever he called it. He was working for ABC News on assignment, embedded in a convoy, and they ran over a landmine, and Bob Woodruff was nearly killed. there was an Iraqi translator that was embedded with him that had been working with the U.S. troops, and Bob Woodruff for a while, and he essentially saved Bob Woodruff's life. When Bob Woodruff finally was stable enough to come back to the United States after the extensive care he had to receive overseas, my mom actually helped this Iraqi translator get citizenship in the United States. He actually now lives in Louisville and works at Fort Knox with our military. So, hearing all of this and seeing what was going on, I was interested to get my mom's take, especially since she did help a citizen from one of the banned countries come to the United States. And her take was this.
Check this out, Heather, real quick. I'm on Wikipedia. It was actually 10 years ago. No, what you were 11 years ago yesterday that this went down. So January 29, 2006. So.
Oh, wow. That's crazy timing. But anyway, so, long story short, I called my mom and because she's been telling me, I'm going to be a contributor on the Today Show piece. I talked to her about the ban. She basically said, look, I understand in theory what he is trying to do, which is kind of, get the Secretary of State, which we don't have yet, I believe, and the Department of Homeland Security to give him a proposal showing a streamlined and secure process to allow refugees or citizens from these 7 countries, which, by the way, if you read through the executive order, that list can be expanded. The Homeland Security and Secretary of State can add the countries to this list, by the way. So, anyway, he wants a streamlined and secure process to allow people to come into the country and to ensure that American citizens are safe and that we are not, letting possible, embedded radical Islamic extremists come into the country, which I don't know if you guys have been following what's happening in Europe. There's some people that blame, and Angela Merkel, by the way, who's the chancellor for Germany, she even said back in, and I just read this today, like 2010, 2011, one of her biggest mistakes was participating in this refugee program because they didn't have a vetting system. You guys can Google that if you want. So at any rate, she just thinks that where he screwed up was basically around this green card issue. That created the chaos, in the airports that you saw this week. And I know there's been a picture of like a 5 or 6-year-old child in handcuffs. And, she believes that, people who were already kind of approved and have been given their green card should have been allowed into the country. The next thing is that she doesn't think communication was clearly sent to, the Department of Homeland Security and the TSA, which is what created all this confusion about what to do. So, I think basically her opinion was that it was kind of a knee-jerk reaction for him to fulfill a campaign promise that necessarily wasn't vetted and well thought out. And there will be some amendments to the executive order. But overall, she got what he was trying to do. It just clearly wasn't thought out or executed the way that it should have been.
Clearly. One. Correct. Now, stay with us, Heather. And I'm going to let Sean jump in first. The acting attorney general kind of put this whole notion on hold, if you will. But within the last hour or so, Trump got to use his famous 2 words off of Apprentice, "You're fired," and that acting AG has come and gone. So there's this little, I guess, gap, if you will, with the new AG, Jeff Sessions to come into play. But Sean, jump in.
Wait a minute. What? Welcome to Apprentice, DC.
Exactly.
You've been waiting all night to say that, haven't you, Russ?
Oh, yeah.
Just occurred to me.
Yeah. Well, one of my questions would be, now, is it clearly he didn't execute the plan properly, or is it that the media and everybody, all the experts in the world and on social media are making it perceived like it wasn't executed in the most proper fashion, if you will? That's my question as far as that goes.
All right.
But to jump back on Saudi Arabia just real quick, and then I'm going to move forward to this, retard attorney general. Saudi Arabia, if you remember, actually worked very closely with the U.S. in obtaining Osama bin Laden. So now that was done very covert and everything, but trust me, there were some higher ups in Saudi Arabia. So not to say that the attacks that happened, why aren't they on the list? I think it's pretty clear that they are on the list, but they're just being watched. They hold, keep your friends close, enemies closer type thing. So just my take on it. It could be a little misconstrued in some facts, but I believe it's pretty spot on. This Attorney General, I just got 2 words for you. Goodbye. If you're not dedicated to the protection of these borders, if you're not dedicated to, everything that these libtards are doing right now is completely detrimental to the entire cause. Okay, first of all, they're using it as a religious thing. They're saying it's all Muslim countries. Religion has nothing to do with this. This is about radical Islamic terrorist threat to the United States. If people can't see that, I don't know where people are getting their information from, or how it got so misconstrued here. It's quite disturbing to think that.
Well, let me throw this back at you, Sean, before I let Russ jump in. Could or should have there been a way that it could have been disseminated in a way that we didn't have the fallout like at the airports and all this stuff? I mean, from what I understand, I'm getting the understanding that it didn't go through all the channels with Homeland Security, and they weren't given the proper heads up. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, coming from somebody who spent 6 years working for the government, trust me, the chain of information gets misconstrued a lot.
Okay.
Not saying that that's an excuse for it. I'm just saying that it does happen. I don't really know what's exactly going on at these airports. I've read a bunch of things about it, but once again, I'm looking at it from 3 different perspectives. What really happened, what the media wants to make you think happened, and then what all these, liberal tards are on the social media and everything making you believe what happened. It's very difficult right now to try to differentiate what is legitimate news and what's this garbage that they're just spewing out.
We'll be talking about news in general a little later, specifically based on some recent comments over the weekend from Miss Conway. But Russ, go on and jump in.
Well, I don't know whether to celebrate or be, or be distraught. I don't know. Trump's a wild card. There's no question that he's a wild card. Even the Republicans think he's a wild card. The bad news is, and what people need to pay attention to, is that the American working class, for the most part, decided to go with a wild card who they know very little about because they were so disgruntled with the political system, with the way, wages are going, with a lot of different things are going. And, so much so that, people in like Martin County, Kentucky, which is, 40% or below the poverty rate, they voted for Trump. And I heard a story today about how they have an infrastructure problem on clean drinking water. Now, if you're below the poverty line in Martin County, Kentucky, and your local municipality doesn't have enough money to fix the infrastructure, the pipes and everything where the drinking water comes from, and they don't have enough water to pump through the pipes, and the county can't, doesn't have the money to fix it, who do you think's more sympathetic to that? Libtards or crackpot right-wingers? Let me let you in on a little secret. It's not crackpot right-wingers. It's not. If you think it is, then I'm sorry, but objectively, you don't know anything, you don't know enough to even be talking about it. So, but with this Attorney General firing, and that's going to be one bullet that he's fired at the judiciary system, and he's not going to quit firing bullets. Trump is a loose cannon, man, and he thinks that he's going to just rewrite how, normal procedure goes. But to go back to my original statement, I don't know whether to celebrate or, be a little even more disgruntled because Trump will be impeached. It's not a question. It's not my opinion. It's not me hoping that he gets impeached. I'm kind of on the fence of whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, which is what I'm about to describe. Pence is a theocrat. Pence is Pence is the stereo, not as bad as ISIS, but let's say a mullah in Saudi Arabia. Pence is the opposite of an Islamic, fundamentalist. Not the ones that cut people's heads off or blow stuff up, but there are a lot of them that just think that, you shouldn't do this, and you got to wear a burqa all the time, blah, blah, blah. Is that for Christianity? That's what he is. He is a theocrat. That's what you call a theocrat instead of a, Democrat or Republican or anything. It's a theocrat. It means he would, if he had his way, he would invoke Old Testament type shit for laws. If he could have his way, if he could wave a magic wand, we would have, women dressed head to toe in Quaker outfits and, probably not even, going to school as much because they're supposed to be at home raising the kids and stuff. So Pence has that kind of worldview. I don't know how he's gotten as far as he has with that. I mean, he disguised it pretty well. But we're looking at President Pence within the year. And that's, again, I'm not trying to be sensational. You'll notice the tweet, or not the tweet, but the meme that I came up with.
He's going to be number 46, isn't he?
Oh, Kevin, I'm not trying to be sensational or facetious. And I agree. I'm not sure I want it to happen, but it's going to happen. I mean, to Trump, you think the Supreme Court and Congress? They took the Supreme Court off of the whatever .gov website when they had the three branches of the government, executive, judiciary, and legislative. He took the judiciary off there. I don't know why, but he took that off the website for whatever reason. Probably because he's getting embedded for a war with the judiciary, which is just baffling to me. Why he'd want to try. It's probably not that. He just thinks they're going to follow. He thinks everybody's going to follow in line. He thinks that he is the CEO of America, not the president of America. He's somewhere along the line. He's just lost his. Well, he's an egomaniac. I thought it was all just a show, but no, he really is. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, man, and he's on a one-way ticket to out. So as far as the immigration thing goes, it doesn't really affect me. So if they came out and said, I would have felt better instead of like one way or the other if he just said, look, we're going to start doing a litmus test for American values. If you're not okay with certain values that we hold dear, like freedom of speech, democracy, capitalism, even I'll throw capitalism in there for the neocon, which I have a toe in that pool. But I think there should be a litmus test for that, and that would eliminate a lot. That would eliminate fundamentalist Muslims and fundamentalist Christians. I would just assume there'd be no more fundamentalist Christians in America. I would just assume there'd be no more fundamentalist Muslims if they're fundamentalists. So, in other words, I'm not saying to single out any demographic of people as far as race goes. I'm saying, hey, you are either down with American values to come in here, or you're not. If you can't say right now that you're down with free speech and you're down with women's rights and you're down with, hey, gay marriage is the law of land. If you're not down with gay marriage, then I know there's plenty of people in the United States that are not down with gay marriage and they're already here, so that's whatever. But if you're a citizen trying to come in here and you can't say that you approve of or not approve, but that you understand that gay marriage is the law of the land and you respect that, then you don't get in. Fuck off. That's what I say.
Heather, I know you're pressed for time. I'm gonna let you wrap up your piece and then get you out of here. But what's your parting shot based on their comments?
Well, there is also one other clause in this executive order that a lot of people were alarmed about, and it was kind of like an open-ended thing that had to do with, the State Department can kind of prioritize requests, to come into the United States based on religious persecution. There were a couple of lawyer folks who know way more about law and interpreting the law more than I do, who suggested that this could potentially lead to the Trump administration basically prioritizing Christians over Muslims. And I read this clause, and I get where there's some kind of open-ended, and I guess this is why people are so upset about this executive order, is it threw everything into chaos, and it left a lot of stuff open-ended. I guess, and just for my uneducated opinion, because, again, I'm not a law professor, here is my thing. I am completely for people coming into this country legally and to escape their homeland, because trust me, much like the man that my mother helped get citizenship in this country, you're talking about a guy that was seen as a traitor in Iraq, and he was not only threatened to be killed, so was his family. His family actually had to flee Iraq because they were being chased down, essentially. And that's scary, and I completely understand people who work with our military and respect our values, who want to come to this country for opportunity. But what I find interesting about this whole thing is, for the left, again, to say they support welcoming all people into this country, most of the group that they're supporting, or some of the groups that they're supporting, do not support the beliefs of other groups, right? And I'm talking about, doesn't the Islamic faith, isn't homosexuality condemned by death in a lot of these countries? How do they balance out the two? And this kind of goes back to the whole, what I brought up last week, talking out both sides of your mouth. I would love for somebody from the left to sit down and explain to me and everyone else, because I'm genuine, and I'm not doing this to troll. This is a legitimate question to me. How do you support one group that supports killing another group, that you also speak up for? I mean, how does that work? Because I'm genuinely fascinated by that. It's confusing to me. I don't understand.
That's a good question.
I agree with that to some extent, but let us not forget that there are fundamentalist Christians who would love to do the same shit. They would just, they're chomping at the bit. They're like, oh God, I'm surprised that, if all things were equal, if life was the same in some of those Islamic countries as it was here, and they were cool with, any kind of wingnut, crazy, batshit religion, there'd probably be a lot of Christians that would move over to those countries so they could do the same shit.
Probably. Are you big? Is that really you? Is that
I'm serious.
A real statement?
Russ, you
trolling?
Dude, when you get into people, who read books that were written by, goat herders that thought the sun was 17 miles away from the earth and the moon was about the same distance and the earth was flat, when you get into books written by these types of people, you're going to have problems. And guess what? Probably the only book that is worse than the Quran, and as far as holy books go, is the Old Testament. The Old Testament is actually worse than the Quran. The difference is that the Jewish people don't take it that seriously, or some Orthodox swing that Jews do, but your educated Jews look at the Old Testament as a book of parables or fables, or not to be taken literally, is all this shit. But it's the worst. If you read it literally, it's one of the worst books ever written. And you know what's interesting, Russ, and I've heard this before too, is that the criticism that Christianity gets, especially people who, read from the Quran, for an example, is that our Bible was written by multiple people. Well, I would assume the Quran is too. I know it's the word of the Prophet Muhammad, but again, I kind of feel like you have two religious. This is more based on religion than anything, and it's really hard when it comes to immigration to invoke religion, because aren't we supposed to have separation of church and state?
Yeah. What does this have to do with religion? Wait a minute. What does this have to do with religion? Like, as far as them getting into the country, did I miss something? Did I miss here?
The whole thing's about religion, because we're afraid of Muslim fundamentalist terrorists. I mean, that's why the thing is being passed, because of is Islamism, or fundamentalist Islam. That's why these laws are going. So it has everything to do with religion. I'm just saying, I always like to throw curveballs. I'm just saying, instead of discriminating against one religion, if you were going to discriminate against religion, the American thing to do would be to discriminate against all religion. So if you can't pass a litmus test to say, oh, okay, I'm not that serious about this, the silly book. I just kind of do this. It's kind of like Louisville Catholics. Louisville Catholics are the best. Most of them, I'd say there's a high percentage of atheists in Louisville Catholic, at least in Louisville Catholic schools. I talk to people all the time that send their kid to private school because they don't want to send them to public school. They say, oh yeah, we send them to Catholic school. I said, oh, well, what about the mandatory Bible class? They said, oh, they'll have to.
Here comes those Heather. Here comes those alter ego voices again.
I didn't mean to. I did not. I mean, it is based around religion, but I guess I'll part with this because it's almost 11 o'clock and my alarm clock goes off early. I'll part with this. I want my country to be as safe as it can be, and I don't want a repeat of what's currently happening in the world. Unfortunately, I don't think whatever this administration or the next one or the one after that puts up it's going to stop those types of acts from happening, because as we've seen, throughout the history, people who want to create fear, which is what terrorists do, and want to kill innocent people, they're going to do it, and they're going to find a way to do it. And unfortunately, yes, we can try to take necessary precautions to keep it from happening, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's going to totally prevent it. And I also believe that we will see 5,000 different versions of this immigration executive order before it's all said and done. I mean, and by the way, it's something that is a little bit aggravating. And we're talking about, media coverage of Trump completely. Boys, buckle up. The next 4 years, if that man farts the wrong way, we're going to hear about it on the national news. So, I just invite people to sit down and educate.
That's because he's going to tweet about it. It will have been tweeted before we wake up.
Yeah, that's true. That is true, Kevin.
Right. Hold that thought, Russ. Hold on, Russ. Hold on. I know Heather's got to go. Heather, thanks for hanging out with us. I'm going to let the guys take it from here. I'll be in touch for other shows, so have a good night.
Okay, cool. I'll talk to you guys later.
Right.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Take care,
Heather. But the way Heather just said that, though, it's like he's undeserving of this much scrutiny. Are you kidding me? I mean, he's moderate people have said, "Oh wow, this first 10 days is worse than Nixon's darkest day." As far as usurping, constitutional law. Stepping on constitutional law. No, I mean, see, you're making mistakes, Sean. You think they're judging him based on his other antics. No, they're saying just based on his lack of respect for constitutional law. He took an oath to uphold the Constitution a few days ago.
Who's they?
And
who's they?
Huh?
Who's they?
Who's they? What?
They saying it? Who is they? They are saying that. Who's they?
Okay.
I just want to know.
Media outlets. Media mainstream media outlets that are under a lot of scrutiny. I mean, I know you think that that George Bush probably brought the towers down, but I mean that stuff like that is not true. I mean it's just these kind of conspiracies. This media conspiracy theory is not true. Now if they're the one thing that does piss me off is when they talk about Trump and his comments with his daughter. This is just a buffoon saying stupid shit. He doesn't. I mean this guy isn't some kind of incestuous pedophile with his own daughter. So that type of shit I don't like. Some of the dumbest shit like that. But I mean, Sean, from my point of view, it seems like to you, I mean, if Trump actually does some dumb shit, it's like there's a whole contingency of people who are like, oh no, well Hillary did some dumb shit. I mean that's what you get every time Hillary did some dumb shit. Or
emails.
Obama did some dumb shit. Guess what? Hillary and Obama did dumb shit isn't a good excuse for Trump doing dumb shit right now. People have to be held accountable for their dumb shit in real time. So, I mean, right. what's going on is Trump's doing dumb shit and being held accountable.
All right, Sean, hold on. I know you got more to talk about, but I want to share this Facebook post that I saw from one of my Facebook quote unquote friends. Hey Jennifer. It's a good post on her part. You heard about Starbucks, Sean, throwing out the memo, whatever, that they were going to be giving 10,000 jobs to refugees. Did you hear about that?
No, I did not.
Did you hear about that? Okay, well, that was their little statement or support of, I guess in this case, the refugees. And there was a lot of backlash, particularly from the states here, Trump followers, that they were going to boycott Starbucks, blah, 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 blah. But the truth is that the 10,000 jobs are global. So that's, that was like, well, that's one thing. And then, the response back to Starbucks from all these people protesting Starbucks or now boycotting Starbucks was that there's hundreds of thousands of homeless people here in America, veterans, blah, 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 blah. But again, the target or the job is a global thing. So a company like Starbucks, Sean, in a sense, taking Trump to task and saying, okay, you're going to do this? Well, we're going to just one up you. What's your take on, the corporate world, if you will, in a sense, now stepping up and challenging, Trump?
What they freaking do? Who gives a shit about Starbucks anyway? You know what? I'm all about it.
I'm not a Starbucks fan.
10,000 jobs globally for the refugees. That's fine. I think what people are failing to realize here is that I'm all about refugees coming here, but there's a legal channel to do it. There's a legal way to do it. If you come into the country legally, it's okay. It's ridiculous. When Clinton was running for office, President Bill Clinton, when he was running for office, he was talking about stronger immigration laws. We need to get these illegal aliens out of here. He got a standing freaking ovation, whatever the hell, you know what I'm talking about. He got a standing freaking ovulation. Anyway. No, but then the same thing's being said now, and because it happens to be from President Trump, all of a sudden it's a racist freaking target for disaster and religious persecution and all this bullshit. This has nothing to do with religion. Why is that the only thing on people's mind? It has nothing to do with Muslim religion. It has to do with the radical Islamic states who house terrorists who are hell-bent on destroying America. And we have such a problem with that. We want to sit here and talk about what a clown Trump is. That's fine. He is a clown. Big freaking deal. The point that we're worried about right now is all these illegal people that are going to try to come into this country. And if you don't think that ISIS is hiding out in the Syrian refugees, then you're just not thinking. I'm being nice. You're just not thinking correctly. We have to put borders, limits, and laws on all this stuff. And because people are taking everything out of context and they're putting it as this big religious discrimination bullshit. Who gives a shit about religion? It has nothing to do with that. It has about the security of our country. The reason that these particular countries are being targeted on the list is specific reasons. Over the past several years, we have been doing intelligence on these countries because we've had to up everything. I mean, Obama put a large ban on them a while back. Didn't hear a damn thing about that. Nobody stood up against that. Nobody rioted. Nobody protested, whatever you want to call it. But no, because President Trump is doing it, all of a sudden it's freaking blasphemy. It's time to wake up and realize, guys, that we are in a very severe state of, terroristic actions against the United States. If we don't stand up and do something about that, are you ready to step out there in your front lawn right now and have to fight? Are you really ready?
See,
no.
Here's where I'll challenge you on that, Sean. The truth is, I don't look over my shoulder when I go out. I don't fear that I'm going to step on a mine or have some martyr blow themselves up around me. I don't fear that. Am I being too naive to the world? I don't think so. No. I just think we still have our system that's in place still has the right processes in place to keep us safe. And then my question is it why isn't Saudi? Why are there specific countries missing off this list? Russ, you jump in.
Well, it's no secret that Trump has businesses, and there's another guy on Facebook pointed out who is a Trump supporter. He said, "Wait a minute, there are another 7 or 8 high Islamic population countries that aren't on this ban list. Who are they? Oh, they're Saudi Arabia. They're all the Islamic countries that were United Arab Emirates, places like this where Trump has businesses. So is that correlated? I don't know. It's a neat thing to look at that he has major business interests in about 6 or 7 or 8 more Islamic countries, and the 4 that he has banned, he doesn't. But I do agree. I'll agree with Sean on a couple of points.
How many?
On a couple. I don't think we know everything about this yet, and Heather said, I think she said she's read some of it, or this, that, or the other. But there are plenty of things to get up in arms about. Trump. Trump firing the Attorney General today. That's going to be the first stone that gets him impeached, because what's going to happen is somebody else. It's not just the Attorney General that can challenge a law like that. There are plenty of other entities and bodies that can. If it turns out that it is, and he, fired the acting Attorney General, there's going to be some stuff there. But the problem is he's just going to keep doing whatever he wants. Whether something is constitutional or legal or not, I just don't think that's high on his priority list right now. And he's, it's a foregone conclusion. The dude's he may want to get fired. He may just, this might have been a big ruse just to get a big theocrat like Pence in office. And
Sean.
I can tell you when Pence is in office, for sure, when Pence is in office, I don't care. It's not going to be about, conservative or liberal for me. What it's going to be about is we now have somebody that literally believes that every species of animal got on a big wooden Titanic 2,000 years ago, and the whole world flooded. The president of the United States is going to throw global warming out the window, throw gay marriage out the window. This guy's going to be making decisions based on he thinks that there's a big white bearded dude in the sky that's got his back. I mean, that is the ultimate fear of any society, that they have just a maniac, moronic psychopath in the White House. Now, some people would say Trump's a psychopath. No, he's just a egomaniac. He's just a egocentric, maniacal.
That's a good point. He's not you're right. He's not a psychopath. He
might be an atheist.
Where are we going? Where did this go?
I don't know.
We're back
about religion,
about
Sean.
Religion
About
again.
religion.
It's always about.
Because it's about
religion.
Check this out. Hold on. I've been reminded, thanks Jennifer on Messenger, that Trump has a personal relationship with the King of Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, of course he does.
Yeah. So
the King of Russia,
okay.
King of Russia too. Hey, right, check this out. I've got a couple people on the line with us. I'm gonna turn both of their mics on, but I'm gonna let them talk
and
one
Kevin,
at a time.
he thinks he's the King of America, apparently, but based on his actions, he thinks he's the King of America.
Hey, Russ, who's the king of this show?
Kevin Hale. All hail Kevin.
Hale, yeah. Joining us, I'm gonna throw their name. Check us out, Russ, Sean. Sean, you've not talked to him, but Dino Burke, a friend of ours. Dino, what's up, brother?
Fellas, what's going on?
What's up?
Hey,
I was thinking we got the Stooges on tonight, man. Love you guys, all three of you, Mo, Curly, and Larry.
I was thinking about Dino today. I was actually thinking about
wait a
Dino
minute,
today.
hold on, Dino. Can you play that sound bite for me so Sean
sure.
can hear? Yeah, check this out, Sean. Great sound bite.
Oh, Lord.
Name that tune. Name Dino is not only is he calling from outside of Area 51, he is like flying over Area 51.
Inside a bunker outside of Area 51.
Yeah. Hold on, Dino.
George Norrie.
Yeah, hold on. Also on the phone with us, Brad Lindsay, who came on a few weeks ago, Russ, Sean, and Brad actually kind of put Russ in check a little bit.
Did he? Usually, rather than get put in check, I just agree. I don't recall getting put in check.
All right, what's up, Brad?
How's it going, dudes? Thanks for having me back on.
Thank you. All right, let's Russ, I want you. Do you remember last week's show when you mentioned this was a good spot for if Dino was on to talk? What was that? I'm bringing Dino on.
I can't remember.
I can't fucking remember. Dino, you listen.
I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, it was.
It's because he knew that I was a Trump supporter.
Well,
and anytime he wants to talk trash about Trump, he knows I'm there.
And that too. Yeah, but what was
I actually thought about Dino today.
Okay. Well.
Because my buddy was telling me, he's like, dude, Trump's going to go. He knows. My friend Larry really follows all of the branches and all of the stuff real closely, and he said, he foresees Trump, and a lot of political pundits foresee Trump really going to have a run-in with the Supreme Court. I mean, not for the nominee, just for some stuff that he's going to do, and the Supreme Court's going to be like, no, man, you can't do that. And Trump's going to be like, middle finger in the air, and he's going to try to do whatever he wants. So that's going to be the run-in. I mean, the Supreme Court is going to be the trigger that probably gets him impeached eventually. But I was thinking today, my friend was saying, oh, man, he said, if this goes down, the stock market's going to tank, this is going to happen, shit's going to hit the fan. It's going to be, it'll be the doomsday that so many of the conservative people, prepare for. And I was thinking, you know what? I need to get a couple of those garbage cans with the silica in it, with the beans and stuff, to put in my house just in case I need to get about a couple years worth of rations ready to go. So that's why I was going to get a hold of Dino to get that article back on the page so I could read over
and
that.
Get himself a Faraday cage going around the house, and your CB in there and everything, so it's all protected and ready to rock and roll. Man.
Oh, wait a minute! I got it. It was we were bringing up Russ. We talked Edward Snowden. We were talking about that whole whistleblower thing. So that was what.
That's what it was. It was like protect America's freedoms versus Big Brother, protecting Big Brother spying on us. And I was like, well, you know what? Dino would have a good opinion on that. What does he think about someone like a whistleblower like Snowden that talks about that tells you, hey, guess what? There's a network that's not only spying. I mean, the Patriot Act that that was eventually, and I was a fan of George Bush, but the Patriot Act did. I mean, there were people who got arrested based on stipulations in the Patriot Act that had absolutely nothing to do with terrorism or anything like that. I've seen some strip clubs and some Bible Belt areas got raided, and they used the Patriot Act as the precipice for doing it. So yeah, I'd be curious to see someone with Dino's kind of worldview, how he thinks about the whistleblowers versus American security.
Yeah, jump in, Dan.
I kind of look at it like say like right now I'm kind of in a position at work where something really odd's kind of going on, and they're being pretty secretive about it. But at the same point, let's say I'd probably get myself in trouble saying that. Be fired in the morning now. No, but let's say I found out that it was something that okay, I was told later on it had something to do with national security. Okay, no problem. And then I'm brought in on the project, and I find out, let's say that maybe it affects so many thousands, even millions of people everywhere around the world, and none of you guys have a clue that any of this is going on. I've got to weigh out in my heart, what do I think is going to be the best thing? Do I come forward and say something, or do I let them just keep doing this? Do you know what I mean? It's a kind of an odd analogy, but let's say, God forbid, Russ, somebody's, they're banging your wife, and I found out about it. I got to weigh it out. Am I going to tell you? Do you know what I mean? Am I going to tell you, or I'm just going to let it go on? And then you're going to look at me like, why in the hell did you tell me? You know what I'm saying? I know it's kind of an oddball analogy, but you kind of get what I'm saying. You're tore with that. You know what I mean?
That's not the question, though. That's not the question. The question is, if you, Dino Burke, if somebody came to you, let's say from your local area, in Federal Telecom or something, and said, hey man, I just want you to know, I got information that the government has you on a watch list because, this is all hypothetical and sensationalized.
Right.
Don't think I'm
they probably do at this point, but.
Well, I'm just saying, they got you on this watch list, and they can listen to your private phone conversations, man. I just want to let you know. Which, if it come out, if that was but they also listen to the terrorist phone conversation. So it's a matter of national security. Are you okay? Are you going to just say, and maybe you have nothing going on, and that's not the point, whether you have something going on or not. The point is, you have no privacy now. Right. Your privacy is gone. You are not, your right to privacy is being absolutely shit upon. Are you okay with that?
I've never been okay with it, to be honest with you.
Of course not.
In any way.
Of course not.
I understand why they want to do it. I really do. But at the same point, for the amount of times that they've used it and the amount of things that you found out from it, they've done more looking at us than within the country than they actually have outside of the country. And some of the specific people that are, that it was designed to actually watch in the first place. So it's not, I've always pretty much been against it from the second that I heard about it. And realistically, if I came across a program like that, that's why I say somewhere in my heart, I've got to make that determination. Am I going to let everybody know, in some way or another, and bring it to everybody's attention so that they know what's going on and everybody can bring it out and talk about it and get it on record? Or am I just going to sit there and be quiet and let them keep doing it, And that's a big, hard decision to do.
Me, Sean, I'm going to go with blackmail. I'm going to tell them I'm all about hush money.
Sean, let me get Sean's take first, because Sean's of military background. Sean, jump in after Russ and Dino there.
There's about 10 different ways you can look at it. Somebody listening to my private conversations, I really don't care. They're just going to be horrified at some of the shit I say to women, but So, I mean, that would make
I
some
like
sound bites, I guess.
So,
But
wait, what you're saying is you're okay with not having any privacy whatsoever. When you say that, I just want to make sure you know what you're signing on to. You're saying I'm fine with not having any privacy whatsoever. Yeah, and I mean, maybe you are. I doubt it, but maybe you are.
I'm sorry, was I talking while you were? Can I finish? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just wanted to clarify.
The Russ Show now.
No, it's Sean's time now.
Like I was saying, as far as, I don't know what this big privacy thing is. I mean, I guess if they're watching me or whatever, I must have done something. I can't really look at it that way, but the whole Patriot Act and being able to listen in on conversations has saved a lot more people. The problem is that what we do hear mostly about is the negative side of it. So. Right. Once again, does it need to be regulated? I mean, everything needs to be regulated, no problem there. But as far as like being able to listen in on things that have probably saved America more times than I bet 90% of people know. And then, but all you hear about are once again the negative things. So they listened in on Joe Bob talking to his sister about having sex with her the other night. Okay, well, that's kind of messed up. So, yeah, I get that. Not saying I want to give up my privacy, but
right. Sean, Russ, I'm gonna side with Sean here because the truth is, when it comes to any of my conversations or doings, breaking any federal law, that's
you're setting up a straw man argument. You're conceptualizing it all incorrectly because it's not about you talking to your daughter or you talking to anybody else. It's about privacy. Privacy was just kind of flippantly mentioned. A right to privacy as a private citizen is one of our most basic rights. So to say, you want to put here's what we should do. Let's put devices on everybody's car to make sure they never go over the speed limit. As soon as you do, a ticket gets sent to your house. Does that sound like a fun time? No, that don't sound like a fun time to me.
I got that over in Europe.
That's just speeding. Well, not on individual cars, but that's just speeding. Well, hell, they have air traffic. They have cameras and shit like that in Cincinnati too. They can send you a ticket in the mail. I hate that.
Is that unconstitutional?
I've gotten one of those tickets myself in Michigan ages ago.
Yes, I say it's unconstitutional because it is Big Brother surveillance that is absolutely infringing on our right to privacy. Unfortunately,
on our right
freedom.
To speed.
No, here we go. Unfortunately, freedom means just what it says, freedom. So it's called the slippery slope thing. You think, I don't care if they listen to me talking to, whoever. Well, I mean, okay. Let's say somebody, you got somebody that likes to smoke weed and they're not hurting anybody. And yeah, they're breaking the law currently. But should the Patriot Act allow people to find a guy buying a quarter ounce of marijuana from somebody? Is that a good use of it? No, it's not. And guess what? Yes, they used it, not maybe for something that small, but they used it for things that they were not allowed to use it for because we have due process. People, they talk about, I mean, it is just such a simplistic view to talk about things and say, I don't care if they listen to the radio show and what we're talking about. No, that's not what anybody's talking about. That is the wrong argument to make because no one's talking about that. What we're talking about is an individual right to privacy to make sure that the government can't spy on you.
All right, hold on. Brad's been. I'm gonna let Brad jump in because he's go ahead, Brad. Welcome to the show.
I'm sorry about that. Thank you very much. I've been listening to all this, and everybody was kind of dancing around it for a while, and I think Russ there hit on it toward the end. It's pretty simple. I mean, the old cliche I have to bounce back to. Anybody who would sacrifice liberty for security deserves neither. There's a reason we have a Fourth Amendment that says that the people should be secure in their persons, papers, and effects against unlawful searches and seizures. And there's a reason that we would perceive an unwelcome tap on our phones or our internet searches or whatever as an unlawful search because that's precisely what it is in the modern age. It's exactly what it represents. So, it's infringing on our rights. We should stand on our rights. We should not capitulate rights to any government entity ever for any circumstances, period.
Is it?
Amen.
Back in the 70s, all the phones
Sean.
were actually tapped. I'm just saying, back in the 70s and 80s, all the phones were tapped regardless about that. If you mentioned certain trigger words, I'm getting hipster, I'm getting millennial on you. trigger words such as president, death, kill, or shoot, if those were mentioned in any conversations, do you know that the government was automatically recording that stuff anyway?
Sure, yeah, and they're doing that now, and that's the whole thing that Rand Paul, did his whole filibuster about for 13 hours or whatever it was. The fact that we have these blanket surveillance, it's not targeting anybody individually, so it must be okay, right? They're looking for a loophole that, because they're doing everybody equally and nobody's being singled out, that it must be okay. But no, they're still doing everybody. So it's not a case of, oh, it's okay because they're doing everybody. No, they've infracted upon 300 million people instead of, just one person in that case. So absolutely not. They should have 300 million lawsuits to answer to, as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. All right, here's a good one. I asked this question last week, and I'm going to ask both Brad and Dino, and then I'll let Russ and Sean chime in after your all's comments. Starting with Brad, Chelsea Manning, Snowden, are they considered traitors or whistleblowers?
No, they're whistleblowers, and as far as I'm concerned, they're both heroes, and they should be hailed as heroes. I am just curious why. I mean, I think I know why, but I have to ask the question: why would Obama pardon Chelsea Manning but not pardon Snowden? To me, that doesn't make any sense. But I think I know the answer to that, and the answer to that is we have a beef with Russia, and we see Russia as harboring Snowden, and he's more useful as someone that we can say, oh, he is in conference with Putin at the moment. So, we will demonize them collectively together.
Right.
So he's more useful if we could have the ability later on to say, he's over there conferring with their KGB. Or not KGB, whatever their equivalent is now. That he's conferring with their intelligence, and he's conferring with Putin. He's telling them all our secrets. So he's a useful tool for the lies that are inevitably going to be spread by our own government.
Mm-hmm.
Dino?
Yeah, and he's right, and I'll take it an extent further, and I'll probably offend somebody for this, but Bradley, Chelsea, whatever the hell you want to call him, he's Obama's national hero now. You can cut your wiener off, and you're still a guy one way or the other. So in Obama's eyes, that's a great thing, And then realistically, that's probably part of the reason why Bradley's let off, But and just like you just said too, though, he's over in Snowden's over in Russia. And was it by choice? Maybe not necessarily, but it was probably one of the fastest places he could get to before anybody caught him. And then, unfortunately, he ended up being stuck there, and now he's kind of a pawn in the situation to begin with. So as far as I'm concerned, anytime that they spill something that's huge, of some type of huge secrets, that's something that directly affects the American public, where it could be life or death or anything along those lines, or in this case, I guess, with Snowden and all the information that he had about what was going on. Bradley, I think, actually ended up, didn't correct me if I'm wrong, but the information that he had didn't end up getting some people killed as a result of that or something. I don't really remember the whole story about it. I just remember that I think he ran off or something like that. Or something along those lines, and then all of a sudden wanted to get his wiener cut off, and I was just like, oh, you got to be kidding me, great, and I got to pay for that crap too, you know what I mean? So, but you know what? If it helped us, even if a couple people got killed, that's cool. You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, they're a hero.
Yeah, just for the record, Dino, on this show, we use the word dick or cock, not wiener. Wiener sounds so, But anyway, Russ, you jump in.
I'm concerned about radio. You know how it goes.
No, well, this is yeah. All right, go ahead, Russ. Go.
I was just sitting here thinking about what a kind of a poor choice Russia probably was for Snowden. It's like, dude, I mean, France has no extradition policy. Wouldn't you be better off like chilling out by the Eiffel Tower trying to, hook up with a French chick? I mean, it's yeah. I mean,
they're all assholes.
Yeah, well, probably, but and they all smoke too. That's the worst part. They're all they all smoke. But anyway, yeah, I mean, Snowden in Russia, I mean, he could tell them everything he knows, and if, they don't believe him, he's going to be, and I don't think that they're too shy to do enhanced interrogation in Russia. So I tell you, Snowden, that was a very big gamble on his part going there. I don't know all the details. I can't wait to see the movie, though.
Yeah.
But,
I think, didn't he end up there
make
just because it was like the closest thing at a border or something like that, and that was the first place that said, we'll take you and you can stay, or he was passing through, or something along those lines. I mean, there's a reason why he ended up there, I believe. I don't think he intentionally went there. I think he ended up there for a reason or something.
Yeah, he started out. He started out. He was in Hawaii, and he had to flee eastward from there. So he ended up in like Indonesia or something in a hotel, and he was trying to figure out where to go. And he was conferring with somebody, and they ended up directing him over to Russia. But I mean, I've got an unpopular opinion here that I'd like to share with you guys. I'm sure you'll all disagree. In this case, honestly, I think Russia already knew everything that Snowden already knew. They have decent spies. They're a big country. I'm sure, positively, they knew all the stuff that he had to divulge anyway. He's not telling them anything they don't already know, and they're not trying to get anything out of him because they already know everything. You know, they are using him as a PR pawn for the American people because they want to try to show us that, hey, we're not as bad as you guys have been told all these years. We're not evil tyrants over here. All we're trying to do is show you, in a lot of cases, the truth of your own government, who keeps fucking around in the Middle East and blowing up people and cock blocking, democratic regimes and overthrowing countries and all the stuff that we actually do. A couple of instances in recent history, with the whole thing in Syria mainly. Obama was caught with his pants down. He created this red line. Oh, if Assad gasses his people, we're going to send people in. So what happened? Oh, man, magically, he gasses people. But key bono, who benefits from that? It's not Assad that benefited from that. Who benefited? We would. Our military-industrial complex would have benefited from that. And the truth of the matter in Syria is we created al-Nusra. We created ISIS in Syria to destabilize that country, that sovereign country, the same way we do throughout the Middle East, the same way we did with Mossadegh in 1953 in Iran, the same we've done with other Middle Eastern countries. We destabilize these countries so that we have an excuse to go in and blow the shit out of them, and Russia cock-block us on it. And basically, they won the American PR campaign the moment they did that, because we knew that there was going to be a war, and they stopped it. So what do you guys have to say about that? I'd be curious to hear your opinion.
Sean, jump in first.
No, God, no.
God,
no.
no.
I'm going to let it go.
I like the way that started out.
No, come on. No, hold on, because Sean's. I kind of felt you had something noodling in that head of yours. So share. Go ahead. We're amongst friends. It's just a show.
It's just a show. No. It's the whole. I don't buy that theory of creating ISIS and creating Al Qaeda and all that crap to destabilize countries.
Well, that's because you're a military guy. You're trained not to think that way. You're trained to listen to your leaders, to obey, not to question, which I understand. I totally get that. You can't do that on the battlefield.
That's a little detrimental sounding. I got to be honest with you.
No, it's not. It's not.
We're still able to.
Don't take it that way.
I mean, if anything, I'm telling you right now, what we did more than anything is go into these countries and teach these people to fight back against the regimes that were built.
Yeah, but we create power vacuums. And what are we doing in Syria though? They have a democratic leader. The guy speaks English. You can actually go and listen to his speeches and his interviews. He speaks English, plain English. He was educated in Oxford or some shit. I mean, the guy is articulate.
We're destabilizing Syria. We're in the process of destabilizing them right now. They've got Congress people that have come back from there also that are even reporting about it, that we've been arming them and feeding them money and stuff all along just to help to stabilize that entire area out there.
Well, that's what McCain was doing over there. When he went over there, he was trying to get us to arm, the so-called freedom fighters, the same way we did way back in Iraq. Those freedom fighters, Afghanistan, back in the 80s, the freedom fighters then were Al-Qaeda. We created Al-Qaeda in the 80s. Most people don't even know that. It's just an inconvenient thing of history. It just gets lost. But we're doing it again. We have been doing it there for 40 years or 50? No, excuse me, since 53 at least. So
as soon as we piss them off, as soon as we piss off that group that we make all the promises and everything to, and we don't hold up to it, that's when they start getting mad. And then suddenly, it's a terrorist group. Oh, look, it's a terrorist group all of a sudden. We've been doing this for years. We're going in there. The whole idea is destabilize it, go into the country and take all their resources and everything else. That's what it all comes down to. And between that and the dollar. And ultimately what's been happening is anytime that these guys have oil or any type of those resources whatsoever, and they want to step outside of that box of trying to sell any of that stuff, not using the U.S. dollar, we go in there and suddenly they're horrible. Who is all the countries that we're against right now? Iran, Russia, Syria, who else? There's a couple, there's a whole list of them that are out there.
Yemen.
And the only reason why we're mad at, the reason why we're mad at them is because they're trying to trade in things besides the U.S. dollar.
Yep, and
that's what the whole thing comes down to.
That was something that Ron Paul talked about a lot. He called that a dollar hegemony. There's a really good video. You guys should write this down or put it in your Google search. It's called The End of Dollar Hegemony. It's a speech by Ron Paul. He gave it on the House floor, and it just lays it bare. He tells basically all the reasons you just talked about: the petrodollar, the fact that our money's tied to oil, so and it has been since the early 70s when we were taking off the gold standard, all that stuff. And it's just like you watch this and your eyes are like wide open because for the first time you see the world as it is, not as they're telling you it is.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and it's like because every single thing that we see, it's been whitewashed, it's been changed, it's been tweaked, and it's got these rosy colored glasses and everything else that we see over here on a daily basis. If you go to another country and you watch the news over there, they start talking about all the crap that we're starting everywhere. I mean, realistically. I saw it just in the Philippines, them talking about it. You know what I mean? And it was like, wait a second, how come we don't have this version over there? And they're like, you don't get this.
Here's an interesting. The interesting thing about it. Oh, sorry guys.
No. Let me hold that thought, Brad. Hold on. I haven't heard Russ in like 5 minutes. Russ?
Yeah,
he falls asleep.
And here's I'm probably about to shock you, Kevin, and I'm about to have Sean cheering behind me. So here's where we are. A lot of the things that everybody was just talking about are real accurate. There's one kind of overlying theme that's kind of is up for a lot of debate, though. It's a far overreaching statement to say we created ISIS or we created Al Qaeda or we created any of these things. That statement is. I mean, I hate to go too far, but that's an asinine statement. And the reason that it is because. Again, I'm going to go back to religion. Everybody, just buckle up. This is at its core. We have an impossible task in dealing with the Middle East. Yes, we have some financial interest. Everybody has fucking financial interest, and everybody breaks their neck to pretend like they don't. Well, guess what? Everybody does. Sorry, it's the way the world. Money makes the world go round. Money's the bottom line. It's all about money because money is power. Money buys a jet ski and puts a big smile on people's faces. It's about the money. So
yeah, because Russ, for the record, Russ, I have never seen anyone on a jet ski with a frown.
Exactly. But so back to the point, we have been.
Everyone was dead in the water.
A lot of people don't know. The only reason we have, or not the only reason, but the trigger to go back to the millennial word there. The trigger for United States having a strong Navy, which then entailed that was our best technology at the time with the Navy, was Islamic fundamentalism. Because I'm sure you've had from the shores of Montezuma, from the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli. When they're saying to the shores of Tripoli, that's one of the first battles. When we got our independence from England and we tried to open up our own shipping channel for trade from Europe to the United States, guess what? Over 1 million American and European people were captured by Islamic fundamentalists from Tripoli, from northern Africa, and taken over 1 million in about 100-year period. Were taken was killed and taken as slaves. Because and when Thomas Jefferson and I don't know if it's James Madison, don't hold me to that. They went over to meet the diplomats from Tripoli in London, England. They said, "By what right do you take our people? We are not a Christian nation." That's one of my favorite quotes. We are not a Christian nation. We serve no religion. You are taking our people. By what right do you do that? And the ambassador or the diplomat or whatever from Tripoli said, because the Quran tells us we can. You are infidels, and the Quran tells us we can. And whoever was doing the most speaking, Thomas Jefferson or James Madison, whoever it was, said, well, then we're going to crush you motherfuckers. We're going to crush you motherfuckers, and you, mark our word, we're going to crush you dirty sons of bitches. They didn't say it just like that, but I imagine that was the sentiment. So,
Kevin, that was the thing I was telling you about before, was that they had warned us in writing about this, and the exact story that he's talking about right now. Last time I talked to you about this was they put it in writing, the founding fathers, about all of this stuff, warning us in advance that somewhere down the road we're going to be back up against this again, and we are right now. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to.
No problem. And there was something called the Dane Guild, because for a while they paid, they actually paid them off. They said, okay, look, if you'll give our people safe passage, we'll give you this amount, we'll give you so much money, blah, blah, blah. But that wasn't enough. And there's an old saying in this, I forget which novel I was reading. I was actually listening to a book on tape, so it's not like I was reading it, but it said never pay the Dane Guild. And that Dane Guild comment is why America does not negotiate with terrorists. Because the founding fathers at the very beginning, they tried it. They said, okay, let's give these fucking, North African ragheads, $1 million a year or some amount of money just so we can do our shipping and be okay. Well, that didn't work for them. They still said, they're infidels, fuck it, they hate us, we're going to screw them still. So they said, we will never pay the Dane Guild again. We will never negotiate with terrorists. So we have, to branch that, fast forward, 400 or 500 years, we are fighting an ideological war. They hate us because they ain't us. No, I'm not going to say that. But they hate us because of our lifestyle. they hate us because of our... Yeah. No, they hate us because of our lifestyle. They hate us because we are infidels. This is a fundamental... This is a fundamental ideology. We're fighting because, yes, we have business interests to protect. Yes, we have our the dollar to protect. Yes, we have oil with reserves with our partners in Kuwait, which the first war was just about taking up for Kuwait. Yes, the first Iraq war. Yes, we have these things, but we didn't create ISIS. We didn't create Al Qaeda. We didn't create any of those groups. These are a bunch of individual warlord factions that are fighting amongst themselves. Yes, we go in and do dirty shit and put puppet governments in, trying to get some kind of stabilization there so we can do business. But make no mistake, we didn't create any of these motherfuckers. These are just the motherfuckers that rise up once we tried something that didn't work. So to say we created it is a false. You can get there indirectly if you want to put your tongue in your cheek and close your eyes and put your fingers in your ears. But no, if it wasn't them, it'd be somebody else, man. If we didn't.
No, you're absolutely wrong.
No,
you're absolutely wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why, and you can go look it up if you like.
All right, real quick,
this is
Brad,
Russ I'm speaking to, right?
I got another caller on hold that I want to bring her on, but go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say this one last thing to Russ. Russ, you can go look this up. Osama bin Laden was actually a CIA asset back in the 1980s, and yes, Al Qaeda was a U.S. creation to fight a proxy war with Russia in Afghanistan.
Perfect.
So you can go look that up. Just Google it.
Yeah, okay, that's fine, but that still doesn't prove your point. You're still holding an empty fact. Because if it wasn't Al Qaeda, it'd be some other crazy warlord fundamentalist Islam faction. Yes, we've made.
I was just. But you said we didn't create them, but we did create them.
No, but
you said we didn't, but we did.
No,
you're being too narrowly focused.
Afghanistan.
You're being too narrowly focused
to protect themselves.
Yeah, if it wasn't them, it would be somebody else. We are dealing with people who think that Muhammad flew to heaven on a winged horse.
Which is all the more reason. Listen, that's all the more reason to stay the fuck out of it. That's you just outlaid the
can't make money.
The fuck out of it because they're whack-a-moles, dude. You hit one on the head, they go down, and another one pops up. What the fuck are we doing? We're just enriching a few bankers and a few people in the military-industrial complex. Maybe you have some ties to them. I don't know because you're defending our actions there. If you do.
Zero. No, I'm not defending our actions. I'm saying we have no choice. But they want the Islamic Caliphate.
They don't have a navy. They don't have a means by which to attack the United States.
They want the Islamic Caliphate, man.
All right. Hold on, guys. During the show, actually, she and I connected on Facebook. We've been Facebook friends. I don't know how long. It was probably because we were probably attracted to each other, and then now we're talking to each other. But I saw she's the one. This is Jennifer, one of my Facebook friends. She posted she had the post about Starbucks, and she has been listening to this show from the get-go. And she was messaging me, saying, she's thought this or that. And I'm like, Jennifer, just call in with a comment and a question. So she's doing it. Jennifer, welcome to the show. Welcome to the boys club tonight. You're the
What's
fresh
up?
and
I'm
meat.
already in the boys' club at work. I'm part of the boys' club. Yeah.
Nice.
So
All right,
so it's fine.
Jennifer, give us your first.
I just want to bring up the hate group thing real fast. I mean, aren't there plenty of those in America right now?
Yeah,
Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah, I mean, so we can't really just like single out and say, okay, well, it's this group and that group and whatever. Of course, they're all over the place. They're not just overseas. They're not just the refugees. They're right here in America right now, and Trump is giving them a platform to stand on. Just give them a platform to stand on, to spread hate in America right now. And we're worried about letting people over from their war-torn countries. Come on. I mean, they're talking about, oh, don't you lock your doors? And yeah, because I'm more worried about somebody coming in and fucking robbing me than I am a Syrian refugee coming over here and starting terrorism. If they're going to come over here, it's just like
the problem.
It's just like I'm all for gun rights and everything, but people are getting so pissed about somebody saying, oh, well, we should have stricter laws. Well, that's not going to stop the bad people from, getting guns. So that's my point. They're using the same arguments that they're using for the gun laws. Well, that's not going to stop the terrorists from coming over here if we make stricter laws for them. What are you standing on right there?
Let's go military first. Let's go military first. Sean, you can respond first.
I'm puzzled by the question. What platform are we getting here?
What I'm saying is that you can go ahead, but what I'm saying is that if you're going to argue one point, that if you make a law banning this and that, but it's not going to stop people from getting a hold of guns to kill and this and that, then how is this ban going to keep terrorists from coming over? How?
No, it won't.
They're going to find a way to do it if they want to do it.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, Lord knows we have boots on the ground right now. We got terrorists in this country as we speak.
Absolutely.
And I totally agree with that. But question for you: should we not take actions to at least?
Are we not? What's OFAC? What's OFAC? Are we not right now?
I thought that's what the ban was. Isn't that what we're doing?
No, we are. I mean, what I'm saying is that OFAC is in place. We screen and screen and screen and screen people. You can't even open a bank account in this country if you look a little bit brown without being run through OFAC thousands of times. I mean, there are already measures in place to stop things like this from happening.
And yet there's an estimated 11 million illegal aliens in the country. So how does that happen? How do you square that if we have a bunch of illegal people running around?
Build the wall.
They don't have to open up a bank account. Yeah, they don't have to open up a bank account.
Right, but but what I'm saying is that we have policies in place already that are there. I mean, it's not going to stop. We're not going to stop people from coming into the country if they want to come into the country. They will find a way.
And they're not working.
They will find a way because we're stopping the good people from coming in right now. We stopped a fucking scientist from coming in, a military interpreter from coming into this country. I'm not saying
he's in here.
I'm not saying that.
Did he come in? I heard he was actually.
And like you were saying earlier, maybe I'm being a little naive, but at the same time, we're stopping the people who want to come over here from their war-torn countries is what we're doing right now. And and they're gonna find a way.
A great analogy I heard the other day. If I gave you a bowl of cornflakes and told you that 12% of those were poison, would you take a bite?
No, I wouldn't.
Right. Okay.
Well, that's a bowl. That's a little bowl of cornflakes. I'm not gonna take a bite of it. That's weird.
Yeah, there's there's several hundred cornflakes in there. There's only 12% of them are poisonous, so you still got a chance of living to take a bite. I mean, are you gonna buy that shit from me? I wouldn't. No. I kick my ass for doing that.
And like I said, am I saying there's not issues? But the way he went about it is completely wrong. Completely wrong. I think that the reason that all these executive orders are getting passed is because they're pulling wool over our eyes and creating all this mayhem because there's something else going on behind the scenes that they don't want us to see. They want us to focus on this because they're doing other stuff. It's like a fucking illusion.
He isn't creating the mayhem. I think the people who are reacting to him are creating the mayhem. If you actually just go and step by step break down and actually read the directive in question, as far as the one pertaining to immigrants, you'll see it is totally in line with what we've done before. He didn't even mention 7 countries. He actually mentioned another U.S. statute that already mentioned the 7 countries. But you can break the thing down line by line. Anybody who has the ability just to read, if you're literate, you can go read it line by line, and you can say, oh, okay, well, we've done this before. That's not so bad. That's not what CNN said. That's not what BBC said. That's not what they led me to believe anyway. New York Times is surprised. And the more you actually read it, the more they start to look hysterical. And it's not just that they look hysterical. They are trying to foment hysteria, and they're doing it to you. They're doing it to you.
Yeah, if they're so concerned about trying to get the story out, that's all they want to do. They want to package it and slap it out and get it out there so everybody can see it. And they're not even concerned whether or not it's even right. They don't give a shit as long as the more wrong it is, the better. Exactly. They had that crap with that guy that did the terrorist act a couple of months back, and they were putting out pictures of some pedophiles, and they're saying it was him. They were trying to sell it that it was him, and I mean it's some other dirtbag too, but still, it was the wrong pictures, and they kept throwing out the pictures. Oh, here he is. It wasn't him. Because all they wanted to do was package this and slap it out and get it out there, and bam, there it is. They're the first ones to report it. They don't give a shit if it's wrong. And anyway, that's the biggest freaking problem. And this issue that's going on that you guys were just touching on, well, the thing that you guys are just touching on also that I haven't heard anybody say yet, this same thing that just like you had mentioned a minute ago about that if you really sit down and read what's going on line per line, you'll see how funny that it actually is. Obama actually wrote this whole thing in 2015, and he did it for 6 months. That's it. Trump's just doing the same identical thing. He's using Obama's law. There's no way that he legally can get busted for this if Obama wrote it. And his Department of Justice actually was fine with doing this and set it all up in the first place. He's doing the same identical thing that Obama just did. That's all it is. He's just rerunning the law. Exactly.
Here's you guys, listen, here's the mind fuck in all this. The real mind fuck is that Trump is very, very highly likely the good guy in this scenario, and all the bad guys are the people in the media throwing the slings and arrows and actually trying to take down a guy who is trying to make peace with Russia rather than fight them, which is what some people desperately wanted to happen. You could see it. Hillary Clinton said she was going to impose a no-fly zone over Syria, which would have led to war. It would have absolutely led to, we would be in World War III probably right now if Hillary Clinton was in office. So she was the evil. This guy came in and cock-blocked her from us being in World War III, quite honestly. And
I wasn't a Hillary supporter, just to put that on.
Oh no, totally. I didn't think you didn't talk like one. I would have taken you as more Bernie, but even Bernie, I think he was too naive on so many issues. He would have had his ass handed to him on so much of this stuff, and we would have been a lot worse off as a country. It would have been like Jimmy Carter too.
My issue with Trump is that he's completely ignoring the checks and balances system that we've had in this country for how long now? I mean, let's forget that. Let's forget. But at the same time, I mean, he's putting through all these executive orders, and anybody who has a conscience that's trying to stand up for any kind of constitutional rights at all is getting fired immediately. And somebody else is acting attorney general and head of immigration and all this and that.
But he has the authority to do that. He is the head executive, and they are part of the executive branch. He has absolute authority to do that. That is part of his constitutional mandate. I mean, that is what he is there to do. If Obama had done it, I would defend him. I mean, because that's part of his mandate. And there's this mythology that just because it's an executive order or a PDD or whatever, or executive memo or whatever they're calling it now, that it's somehow unconstitutional. It's not necessarily unconstitutional. All that is it's a mechanism. It's a law mechanism by which they give directives to the underlings in their own branch. That's it.
Exactly. Like the border fence, for instance, to touch on that some more with you, that the border fence, the funds have been sitting there the whole entire time since the Bush administration. His executive order just opened up the funds to be utilized towards it. That's all it was. He didn't like write an executive order and say, okay, we're going to start milking the United States population for money so that we can put it up. It's, let's free up those funds so that we can utilize them for this border fence, exactly what it was designed to do.
But
things
that's
like
not what the media told me. The media
I know.
didn't tell me that.
That's not what the clowns from CNN told me.
Here's the thing. We got to be, and also
you leave Anderson Cooper out of this.
Leave Anderson alone.
But he is a nice lady. Don't you talk about him like that.
Yeah.
You know what's
Hey,
I finally figured.
All right.
I finally figured out the other day. Anderson Cooper's gay. I really didn't know. I just thought he was
I know.
fabulous.
You
didn't know that? Oh yeah.
did you also know that he is a CIA asset as well? Did you guys know that?
He's also Vanderbilt.
Yeah, exactly.
He's also Vanderbilt. That's how he got his job in the first place. Mommy got him that position.
Yeah.
But he started out his career in the CIA.
I'll leave Anderson alone. Yeah. Russ, chime in, Russ.
I'm hearing from a guy that a lot of terrorists are coming across the northern border. So I want to propose the northern border wall because those Canadians are just, talk about liberals. Those Canadians are real liberal. So they let all kinds of people come over, and they could just, the guys up in Montana and, New Hampshire and Vermont, they're not watching their fences very well because they just let those Canucks come right on over. So if there's a couple of brown Canucks wearing turbans, they're going to let them go too. So we need a border wall across the northern border, and I want to propose that tonight. And then the Coast Guard, it's like Swiss cheese on the Pacific and the Atlantic. We need a floating wall. We need a floating wall in the Pacific, and we need a floating wall in the Atlantic. And then, after we have the entire continent surrounded by walls, we're going to have to invoke the Ronald Reagan Star Wars defense program. We're going to have it. We got to have the defense. So that way, that and then it's even more. So after we build the bubble, I'm proposing a bubble for everyone, bubble over the.
You sound like John McCain.
And then
I like this guy. Who's this guy?
After the bubble, Kevin, we got to put firewalls on all the internets. We got to have firewalls. The Russians, I heard from a guy that they may have hacked the last election. They may have hacked it. Yes, Donald Trump won. I won, but they still hacked it. So we need firewalls too.
Look at the pictures of my crowds. Look at it. Look at this panoramic view of my crowd.
Kevin, all walls. Tonight I've registered a new domain. It's called allwalls.com. We're going to build walls even around the states because, Kentucky, Tennessee, not getting along all the time. Football, basketball. We need a wall between Kentucky and Tennessee. Those volunteers are not to be trusted on bluegrass soil.
Or Hoosiers.
One wall is not enough. We need the southern wall, the northern wall, the floating walls, the bubble, and the firewalls. That's my proposal. I think we'll be fine after we can become completely isolated from the rest of the world.
You propose to isolate California, too, while you're at it. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, California's going to be like Cuba. It's going to be like Cuba. We're going to have military installations there, but they're going to be their own. But the bad news is, it's going to hurt our economy pretty bad because California is like the 6th largest or 7th largest economy in the world. So that's going to hurt. But at least then we won't have them, telling us, our bakers, they got to bake gay wedding cakes. That's just unacceptable.
Are we gonna send Kurt Russell in there when we need him?
Oh yeah. Well, he's a little past his prime, but I feel like Rambo.
I feel like Snake will get the job done in California.
I already got the Terminator on my side.
I'm a snake. I'm a snake. I'm a snake.
All right, There's Jennifer. There's our residential bong sound. There you go. Yeah. Brad, do you have any special effects on your end?
I'm a snake.
We'll take it. Jennifer.
Sorry.
Jennifer, can you? Is there any special effects that you can pleasure the rest of us?
I think Kevin was just wanting you to turn a vibrator on or something.
That's what that was.
Oh, that was what it was. It was.
It's called the Trump. It's really strong.
The Trump.
It's really strong. It's got a lot of words. It's got the best vibrations, the best that you've ever seen.
And I assure you, there's no problem with the size. There's no problem with the size at all.
There's no problem with the size at all. The size is huge. It's the biggest size you've ever seen.
What you drink?
You're gonna love it.
It's the biggest, most beautiful size. It's the biggest, most beautiful size. It's gonna be it's the greatest. It's the greatest that you've ever seen.
And Mexico paid for it.
Since Lincoln.
Mexico
I
paid
forgot
for
one
it.
last wall. I forgot the last wall because
What?
I am doing some things that are pissing off China. China is going to get mad, and China, even if we have walls everywhere, China could burrow through the earth because they're exactly opposite of us. They could burrow all the way through the earth and come up on our soil. So we're going to need a sub-mantle wall. We're going to need to build a wall underneath the ground to keep China out.
China.
Yes, China.
All right.
Doesn't she that chick from 40-Year-Old Virgin?
Yeah, I think you're right. All right,
I'm right.
Jennifer. Thanks. Jennifer, thanks for coming on and breaking the seal, letting us be your first on a show tonight. You handled us all very well.
I'll call next Monday with more. Hey, welcome to the Nixon era. Monday Night Massacre tonight.
Okay. All right, dear. Thanks for calling. Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
See you.
Bye, Jennifer. Hey, wait.
Nixon
Nixon was really good on foreign policy, at least. I mean, Nixon was a foreign policy genius. You can't sell Nixon short. You can't compare Nixon to Trump because at least he tried to be a little, subversive about his crookedness and was actually really good at foreign policy.
Well, Nixon opened up China, so that's the exact opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah, didn't that other wrestler also open up China from the back? Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm the only one that saw that movie. Never mind. Disregard.
China.
She can take it
Hold
like
on,
a champ, I got to tell you.
Yeah,
China.
Kellyanne Conway.
Hilarious.
Kellyanne Conway on a Sunday interview once again slammed the media, asking when network reporters will be fired over their coverage of the Trump administration. Quoting her, "Who's cleaning house? Which one is going to be the first network to get rid of these people? The people who think things were just not true." This was Kellyanne on Fox News Sunday. Again, criticizing networks for their coverage of her alternative facts statement, which, good God. Brad, let's start with you.
Oh, no.
Kellyanne
Back to
Conway.
that PC shit again. Alternative facts. I love that.
Alternative facts.
Goes from fake news to alternative facts. Somebody's got to spin it so it always sounds better.
Yeah, see, here's the thing.
Undocumented people. What the hell is undocumented? I forget my freaking driver's license to go down the road. Yeah, I'm undocumented too.
All right,
here's what
Brad, you talk, then Dino jump in after Brad.
Yeah, here's what I think about all that sort of thing. I don't give a shit what she says because she's not the president. She's just a person he sends out there to liaison with the press. She does speak for him, but she doesn't necessarily always do a good job. So, I mean, I'm not really that interested in this sort of attack. You know what I mean? It just creates a life of its own. And it gets boring after like the first 2 days. Yeah, even if it was my opponent, that this happened, it would just be boring. That's not really what I would want to attack. I would want to attack the meat. That's a limb. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Dino?
The news and their alternative facts, it just cracks me up, the way that everything has to be spun all the time. It's like I just said, I go down the road and forget my driver's license and I'm, undocumented. But, this PC culture is just making me want to barf every single time I turn around. It's if it's fake news, it's fake news. Call a spade a spade. Everybody's been talking about, saying Islamic terrorists for so long. They're finally starting to say it. Okay, now say exactly what it is. They're full of shit. Somebody say it on on national television one of these days. It's not even fake news. You're just full of shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. These people are crazy anymore. It just makes me want to turn them all off completely.
John.
Hi guys, I'm actually with Brad. Is it? I'm sorry, forget names. I'm with you on that. It's just who gives a crap? I mean, and I'm also with Dino on this. The politically correct. I mean, what's next? Are we gonna start calling blowjobs a friendly or a trouser kiss or something? I mean, I don't understand. It's getting ridiculous. Call it what it is.
Okay.
Alternative news, politically correct, imbecile, freaking millennial hipster turd. Oh,
Conway said
half of them get off their asses anyways and work. It'd be a whole different story. But that's a different show.
Yeah.
I want a trouser friendly kiss. That's gonna be my pickup line. Did you just ask me for a blowjob? No, I said a trouser friendly kiss. I don't know why you're so bent out of shape. I said it politically correct. Or
Russ.
I want a pre-smooch.
Russ. Go ahead, Russ.
That's the cork coming off the bourbon. It's about my fourth bourbon drink.
That's
for
a good man.
This little deal. Well, I kind of forgot what are we talking about? Back to political correctness. Let me ask this: wasn't alternative facts Kellyanne Conway's own phrase?
It was right.
Okay, so
it's her word.
I don't think that. I mean, trust me, I hate political correctness. I truly hate it. I will say shit all night that will, politically correct people are like, what? They're just, I love offending politically, self-righteous indignant. I love it. Trust me. But I don't think alternative facts falls under the category of political correctness, especially since it came, from the horse herself, coming out like that. I think alternative facts are a way of saying, a cleverly, marketed way of saying, well, yeah, we know we're full of shit, but we're going to present this as alternative facts and go. So it's just another distraction. It's like, all of these social issues are distraction. Gay marriage is a distraction. Transgendered bathrooms are a distraction. Nobody. The reason they're a distraction is because it offends the most, conservative people, and it's a big champion idea of the most liberal people. Meanwhile, all of us in the middle who really don't give a shit either way, but things should be fair, but that doesn't really affect me. And we're sitting here watching these two motherfuckers go at it. As Sean likes to say, the libtards, and as I like to say, the absolute dipshit Jesus freaks. I don't really say that, but it sounded good. Anyway, so you got the dipshit religious people on one side, you got the dipshit fucking politically correct people on the other side. Meanwhile, we're all in the middle saying, wait a minute, what about money? What about good wages? What about real shit? And none of the real shit. All of the the Bilderbergs and the Fed and the Rothschilds and the here's where I get all conspiracy theory, because I do believe it's all about the money. It's all about the money. So we're chasing fleas around the country about two dudes on a wedding cake, and I'm all for gay marriage. I'm all for when it comes to these social issues, I'm as libertarian. I won't even say liberal. I'm as libertarian as you want to be. Actually, my friend Larry told me today that the Koch brothers are actually libertarian, and the Koch brothers aren't a big fan of this whole refugee thing the way Trump has done it. Yeah, it's similar to what Obama did, but there wouldn't be this big of a shitstorm if it was exactly the same. So it's not exactly the same. No, it's not even close. It's definitely different by a big measure, because the reason Trump's going to get impeached isn't because of everybody bitching and whining about him. The reason he's going to get impeached is because the only people the only allies that he has are going to be like, hey, wait a minute, motherfucker. Yeah, you got to play ball with what we want too. We put you, you get here by yourself. Contrary to popular belief, Trump isn't a billionaire. How many billionaires, unless they get their own show like the Shark Tank, do bullshit like that? Not too many. So, it's very, very controversial whether he's anywhere close to a billionaire. At one time, probably, not anymore. Atlantic City fell, some other bullshit. Trump University, that was a big loss. But, it's just, I hate political correctness, but alternative facts aren't political correctness. That's just a blonde chick who supports Trump really hard, gets paid to support Trump real hardcore, trying to, do a tap dance is all that is.
Agree, disagree, Brad?
I'm a libertarian too, and I disagree with about half of that. I agreed with some of it, but the alternative facts thing. I mean, to be honest, I kind of skirted that one and kind of just blew that question. But no, I mean, alternative facts thing. It's a slip. It's just she didn't go in there rehearsed. It sounds like to me. She's not trying to create talking points. She didn't go into the meeting and they agreed. Oh yeah, what are we going to call this? Let's call it alternative facts. And that's not what they didn't do that like the Obamas did and the Bushes did and the Clintons did and everybody has done up until now. These people are flying by the seat of their pants, and quite frankly, it's extremely refreshing to see somebody who's doing that. When he went out there, it's from what I heard. When
it's refreshing when it's fact.
Well, hang on. No, that was a slip. I just admitted that was probably a slip. She shouldn't have said that. I mean, honestly, that sounds ridiculous. It just sounds ridiculous when you stop and think about it. But if you listen to her in context and you put some flow behind it, she didn't sound that ridiculous after 2 or 3 sentences. So it's one of those things. I would watch Trump's speech back during the campaign. You'd watch a whole hour of him speaking to the press. And great things about, we shouldn't be nation building. We should stay out of these countries. We need to be friends with them and talk to them and Ron Paulian stuff. I mean, stuff that I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. And then what do? They find one tiny snippet where he was actually making fun of the press. And so they took that out of context because he was mocking them when he said it. And I can't even remember what the phrase was now, but it was so ridiculous how they spun that. And to see that happen.
Was it the one about the reporter?
Yeah,
the one about the reporter that they kept pulling it on?
No, I forget what it was. Now, it had to do with the Russians. I think it had something to do with the Russians. He was what did he say? He was on this specific example. It was the foreign policy speech that he gave to the press. So if you look at that one and the controversy that came out of that was one little line in which he was actually mocking the press when he said it. He was saying, you guys would think that I would say this. And then they said it as if he had said that. It was like, holy shit, am I in reality here? So that kind of stuff is just ridiculous. That's why I say it's boring and ridiculous, because they'll take one little snippet, and this is what media does, and it's clickbait, and it's trying to create a news cycle, and it's trying to, don't go away, viewers, don't go away, please, don't go watch football, stay with us for a little while.
You think he'd have learned a lesson about mocking the press, because after you like to mock the ones with cerebral palsy too.
No, he actually didn't do that. That was pretty well defined.
Yeah, it's pretty well documented that he didn't.
It's not though. Only that it's not.
It is.
I'm not saying that he did or no. Well, here's the difference. It's just like I mean, I don't know if you guys believe that Jesus came back and died for our sins and got crucified and rose in 3 days. That's an absurd story. I mean, you may say, no, that happened. No, that didn't happen. And but what's a little more uncertain is whether or not Trump did that. Now, does it look like he did? Of course. Did he mean to? I'm not sure. Don't know. But the problem is that, goddamn, it sure fits the peg fits in the hole pretty well. I mean, it may be a little bit, octagonal going in the round hole, but it fits in there pretty well. So has he done other shit that's equally as uncouth or undignified, especially as a commander-in-chief or a candidate for commander-in-chief? Yes, he has. Yes, he has. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not a gotcha guy.
Not really, though, because, I mean, if you think about some of the other controversies, it was stuff that was dug up. I mean, what do? They drag women out that were that he knew 20 years ago and met once,
what happened to them all, by the way?
To try to feign crime.
They all disappeared. Yeah, they all suddenly disappeared, too.
Yeah, and the whole pussy grab thing, it's like, that was like literally, it was what 10 years ago or something, and he was on a bus talking to like 2 other guys. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was running for president.
I would go so far as to say Trump, I'll give him credit here. Any other presidential candidate would have been absolutely sunk by the pussy gate. Anyone. He did that great. But here's the thing. I've never I didn't vote for Hillary and didn't vote for anyone. I didn't go and vote at all. But here's the thing, and I sure hope there's not anybody goofy enough to say, oh God, you didn't vote. You didn't go. No, that's retarded. Anyway, the issue being is
that would be your
I'm not judging. I'm not judging Trump on anything other than Trump. Not putting him against Obama. I'm not putting him against Hillary. I'm not putting him against George Bush or Ronald Reagan or any of those people. I'm
Mother Teresa.
Trump. Mother Teresa was a huge piece of shit according to my favorite author. But anyway, no controversy there. Everybody's okay with Mother Teresa being a piece of shit. Okay, good. Let's move on.
Yeah, but she would have forgiven. She would have forgiven your favorite author, which who's Christopher Hitchens, I'm guessing.
Of course,
you seem to have as big a chip on your shoulder as you did about religion.
Brad and Russ, they complete each other, man.
I love Christopher Hitchens. Christopher Hitchens is my messiah.
He's a dickhole, is what he was. He was a total dickhole.
Well, people who struggle with that level of intellectualism, I understand. But anyway, my messiah was Thomas Paine. Thomas Paine was like the original Christopher Hitchens. He was, he wrote Common Sense. He wrote The Age of Reason. I mean, he was your OG Christopher Hitchens back when people.
No, I'm good with Thomas Paine, but I don't think he didn't go after Jesus Christ the way that Christopher Hitchens serially did.
Thomas Paine says in The Age of Reason that it is blasphemy to assign. I mean, he was a deist, so he believed in some kind of creator. But he said it was blasphemy to blame the creator of the universe for a book as shitty as the Bible. He said that. He didn't say shitty, but he said it is blasphemy to blame these stories.
I can agree with that. But see, the difference between him and Hitchens is, he actually had he has the dignity of some kind of moral basis, based on something that he cannot know, based on the mystery of life. That I'm not arrogant enough as a human being to think I can figure out everything, and you can't.
He didn't base his morals on anything.
You could actually go to the Big Bang itself and go up to the point of Planck time when you can't go any further back. You don't know when the laws of physics absolutely break down, and you have no fucking idea what's beyond that. So don't be a fucking dickhead, and don't and not you, but I'm talking to Christian Hitchens. Don't be an asshole. Don't be a dickhead. Don't be arrogant. Just shut the fuck up and say maybe there is a God. I don't know.
Our buddy Thomas Jefferson, though, I'm sure you're buddies with Thomas Jefferson as well. Our buddy Thomas Jefferson, and you can. This is one of his most famous quotes, actually. The only remedy for religion, I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but the only remedy for religion is ridicule. Period. So that's what Christopher Hitchens did. He ridiculed religion quite effectively. I mean, but
you have to understand this. You have to understand this, though. Even some Christians ridicule religion. I mean, they distinguish between religion and faith, for instance.
But you and I both know those are
most Christians I know do that.
Yeah. You and I both know they're going to hell for sure.
So, there are a lot of those. That's true. But as a good Christian, see, I can't judge. Actually, no, I'm not a Christian. I'm an agnostic, but I do try to follow the teachings of the guy named Jesus of Nazareth because he had some good shit going on. There's no reason.
An agnostic is just an atheist without a backbone.
No, it's actually someone who is philosophically consistent enough to realize he can't know everything.
Well, let me put you to this little test. It's like it's one thing to say, "Oh, I don't know whether or not there's a God." That's fine. You're agnostic if you don't know whether or not is there a God. But if you say, "I don't know whether there or not there's a God," then and you're really convicted in that, and somebody says, "Hey, do you believe there's a God?" And if you say, "Well, I don't know," well, we understand you don't know, but do you believe there is? You can't just keep saying I don't know because everyone has an opinion on most things, especially something as spectacular as is there a big white bearded guy in the sky in a white robe with Hale on his head. And
you can say you don't know if you believe. You can say you don't know. Like what if you haven't considered it that much? But here, this is the way I see it, man. If you're saying that you know anything at all, you're just being arrogant. You're using it's actually a paradox. Yeah, and you haven't.
Well, let's look at it from a probability standpoint. Okay, right now, you have a bathroom in your house.
Sean and Dino, do y'all want to go have some?
Sorry, guys. I know. Hey, let's move on to something else. I'm sorry for getting off on the track.
Well, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and Scooby on off here. I got to be at work really early in the morning.
Yeah, it's getting late. It's
scopes.
Yeah, it's almost 12:30 Eastern time for us. We've had a great conversation. Listen, guys, our Monday night show is starting to get more political / religious. So be on the lookout for me to come and reach out to the Dinos, the Brads, maybe even Jennifers who want to come on, Heather, who want to come on and for a few minutes and talk to my boys, Russ and Sean, to get their juices going. But tonight was a fun show.
That Brad's more liberal than me, and when it comes to talking about the Middle East, that was a curveball for me.
Full of surprises.
Yeah,
that was a huge curveball.
All I can say about religion is that Rangers don't die. We just go to hell and regroup.
There you
I
go.
hear you.
But I'm gonna go, guys. I'm gonna
All
go,
right.
guys.
Thanks.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks so much, son.
Later, guys.
All right,
Talk.
guys. Love you.
All right, wrapping up. Dino, Brad, Russ, you still here? Let's see. Dino, what's going on with you lately with out in Vegas? Any UFO sighting?
Not too much lately. I'm hoping to get out and do me some squatching here next month. So out in Utah.
Okay.
So hopefully I'll have some new stuff to bring back here for you.
Please do. Good.
Dino, do you have one of those? Do you have like rations in your house? Do you have food supplies ready to go?
I even keep a go bag in my car even too, on a regular basis. Yeah, we've been. Years ago, I was telling Kevin this a while back. Years ago, I got kind of
say it in a way that Brad will know. Brad, Dino's a prepper, so Dino share with us.
He's a what, a prepper?
Yeah, I want to say probably about 15 years ago. I literally kind of got caught with my pants down in a great big huge power outage for a matter of, I want to say, about 6 days roughly. And ever since, it was a real eye-opening experience. I was headed just like everybody else on every other regular day, thinking nothing would ever go wrong. I'm back in the East, at that point, and heading into work, and I'm like, crap, I'm on fumes, getting into work. I'm like, yeah, when I leave, I'll get gas later and everything else. And all of a sudden, bam, power went out right in the middle of the day. And we were like, okay, well, so it just went out. Who cares? It'll come back up in an hour or so.
Do you have a fireplace?
At the time, no, I did not. And the cool thing was, it was kind of, I want to say around summertime-ish, give or take.
Oh.
So it wasn't, you know what I mean? So it was okay. But I left work and I had to ditch my car on the side of the road because of lack of gas. I had to hoof it probably good 2 miles, break into my dad's house, take one of his cars, go and rescue my grandparents, who happened to be in a building that was about 40 miles outside on the other side of another town that was out there, because the power outage went all the way from half of the state of Michigan all the way down into like the top of Florida and all the way over by the Carolinas and over towards Chicago and everything else. And it was pretty interesting. I had no cash, nothing. It was all in the bank. Everybody was, trying to get into the electronics and stuff at the time. We're just starting to use debit cards and, things like that. And none of us had anything on us. We were screwed. I mean, literally.
Was that is that what they called the Great East Coast Blackout? What year was this?
Yep. That was her. That was her.
Okay. Isn't that amazing though? I mean, that's I've been talking about that too. It's like, a terrorist could take out one little substation or something and you know what I mean?
They've tried already in California. And they haven't really popularized it all that much, but they've tried. And they've caught people dinking around over here by the dam and, all kinds of stuff. And basically I've just I didn't want to be caught in that situation again, so I always made sure, at least ever since I had some cash, or, if something happened to while I was at work, at least I could walk home. I got a plan with the family how we're going to meet up, and, if something happens, where we're going to go further, and, things like that. So it just, it started with things like that, for the most part.
Yeah, kind of. I get that feeling kind of like watching movies. Like, have you ever seen the movie The Road with Viggo Mortensen or whatever? It's like a post-apocalyptic thing. He's got his daughter, and he's like, the shit has happened, and he's walking along this road. He's got to protect his kid and all this stuff, and just all these fatherly things and all these survival things coming up. It's like, holy shit, I'm naked. You know what I mean? I'm naked.
Come on, Brad. There's only 2 movies.
There is one. There's
Red Dawn.
There's an awesome. Oh yeah, Red Dawn. Red Dawn, and then the other movie is Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome.
Well, the only thing that saves Red Dawn for me is Swayze. I mean, Swayze is, fucking everything he was in that movie, right? I'm not dreaming that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he was the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's about the only thing I remember really from that movie, because I was just such a huge Swayze fan because of Roadhouse, because he kicked so much ass in Roadhouse.
Roadhouse. Yeah.
And also the dancing, but that's I don't tell people that.
Well, there's one that they've come up with here that's been recent, and it was made by National Geographic Channel, and they did a movie about maybe roughly an hour and 39 minutes long or something like that. It was called American Blackout. Probably one of the most interesting shows you will ever see, and it really truly kind of speaks to sort of what might happen now if something like that happened. they went through a very similar situation where it was just nobody knew what was going on. Just all of a sudden one day they started getting rolling brownouts. Kids were getting on elevators to go home for a 3-day weekend to their families and stuff, and they ended up getting stuck in the elevator. There was people that were in, a couple that was in New York, and they were up in their apartment, and the power went out, and nobody knew what to do. And one of them the girl ended up getting raped and killed in the end. And the one guy that, focused on like, I want to say like 4 or 5 different scenarios that were going on. One was this elevator full of kids, and they were on their way home, and they got stuck in this elevator. So after about 24 hours, they tried to figure out how in the hell could they escape. Well, 3 of them died in the process. And I think the other 3 made it up to the roof, and 1 died by the time they got to the roof, and the other 2 lived.
Was this a movie or real life?
No, it was a movie. It was a movie.
Oh, okay, right on.
It's fairly recent. Yeah, it's fairly recent. One was about this, another one of the families that was in there was this guy. He was kind of a prepper. He had his little bug out area and took his daughter's boyfriend at the same time because they couldn't get hold of his family and all that kind of stuff. So he went up there and he felt bad for some of the neighbors and started feeding them. Then they raided him, at the same time, and they tried to get into their bunker and everything that this guy had built underground and everything too. And basically they were at gunpoint at the very end of it when they realized that the power came back on. And it was fascinating, just the most fascinating thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And if you ever get a chance to see it, you'll sort of get kind of a better idea. I was like, I don't ever want to get caught in that again.
Right. No, totally. I've had real life parallels, and I'm sorry if I'm cutting people off here and kind of cock-blocking everybody from talking, but I've had real life parallels where you'll be in a situation like a common situation. You're in line at the grocery store or something, and some guy, for whatever reason, whatever's going on in his life, he decides today's the day. He's just gonna say, well, fuck this and fuck you and fuck everybody. You know what I mean? And it's like for that second, you are in survival mode. It's like, holy shit, you realize how far in asleep you were. I was fucking asleep. You know what I mean? I wasn't even watching this guy. I wasn't looking around me. I wasn't watching my kid. I wasn't thinking about, what do I do in case of emergency? I wasn't thinking about any of this shit. But suddenly, this guy is snapping. Today's the day he's going to snap, and the whole world's against him. You know what I mean? And he's like, fuck this and fuck you, and this is done. Fuck all y'all motherfuckers. And it's like, holy shit, I'm reaching for my fucking, concealed carry. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Russ,
me too.
Russ, this is where you're going to shut us down, Russ. Take us home.
Oh, well, all I want to do is ask Dino about, because, liberal and anti, nonsense as I am, I actually, I like the prepper idea because, it's a real fucking possibility that shit's going to hit the fan. People are fucked up. There is no Jesus. And so, yeah, the shit hitting the fan is very possible. What I want to know is, all right, just intuitively, I'm thinking it's better to be away. Like if the shit, let's say we have a breakdown, a grid meltdown, power's out, services are gone, people are, it's going to happen. It's going to be like this for 6 to 8 months or better, or something like that. Or we're going into a not post-apocalyptic, but post infrastructure. Okay. So and shit, and people are hungry, and people are without water, and they're without shit. It's a bad idea to be in more centralized urban areas in that regard, isn't it? Wouldn't you be better off in like rural areas with less population?
Oh yeah,
definitely both.
Oh, definitely. See, but at the same time, you've got all of a sudden all the hundreds of thousands of people who've never hunted in their entire life suddenly decided that they're going to go running out to the woods though too. And decide, oh, hey, I'm going to hunt for the first time, and they start shooting and killing each other because they're just shooting at anything that moves. You know what I mean? So you're going to end up picking off probably the first huge batch of people within the first year, whether they're going to survive or not. So ultimately, if you end up getting, say, a bug-out location of some sort, you want to be stocked and ready for at least probably about that length of time before you really want to be able to, come out and start looking around again.
All right,
let the problem weed itself out. Mm-hmm.
Follow-up question. Okay, this is like Kevin's round of shots, kind of. One gun. You got to choose. You got to tell me what each one of these is for you. If you got your to-go bag or whatever, if you could have one gun, one round, one gun, not one round, but several rounds, one caliber of bullet with one gun, one pair of shoes, and one. What was the third one? Fuck, I can't remember. I'm coming up with this whole scenario in my head. But anyway, what's your top 3 things that you have with you if you're what vehicle, like Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome? So or would you even have a vehicle? So one vehicle, one gun, and one parachute. What is?
One vehicle would end up being probably a 1980-ish motorcycle of some sort that's not going to be affected by, say, like EMP or anything along those lines. You know that it's going to be reliable. Yeah, exactly. So you can travel. Something probably like that. There's a universal rifle that is out right now, and it shoots anywhere between 3 to 5 different types of different sizes of rounds, from a 22 going up on it. It's a pretty diverse little rifle. I don't know what it's called off the top of my head. I'll have to look it up.
I'd be interested in that for sure.
It's pretty cool. Yeah, and it folds up. It folds up, so it packs easy in a little backpack and everything for you, so you can decide whatever type of caliber.
Is it a Kel-Tec?
Is
it a Kel-Tec?
I have to look it up again.
It might be.
Further, it could very well be.
It's one of those plastic stocks with a.
Yeah, you all have effectively phased me out of this conversation. Thank you. Why don't?
Hey, you don't have to be. Hey, Kevin, do you have a family?
I do have a family.
Do you have kids and shit?
Yes,
I don't think Kevin owns a gun.
Well, how are you going to protect them how are you going to protect your family if you don't?
I align myself. It's access. It's who you know. I'll just make sure I'm around the right people.
Just constantly around a cop.
he's coming to Las Vegas.
or friends who play with guns. Yes.
Hey, since we're a bunch of white privileged American males, and Kevin's half Asian, he could be a ninja.
Yeah, we're on to something.
We're gonna go straight stereotype with it. Yeah.
Oh shoot!
You gotta have some throwing stars, then, dude.
I already know he's a terrible driver.
Shut up. I'm not.
Yep, he's Asian, all right.
No, because there's two things that I can dispel the Asian myth. I am a good driver, and I don't have a short wiener, like Dino said.
Yeah, but you're only half Asian, so.
If y'all haven't figured it out,
you have like you have a 3/4 size.
If you guys haven't figured it out yet,
all right, it is time to shut this down.
Bullitt County, Kentucky.
Yeah, it's time to shut
this
down. It's time to shut it down.
Kevin's more redneck than me, I think.
Well, hey, thanks again, fellas. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot. It was fun.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
It was lots of fun, man. Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one, y'all.
Peace out.
All right, bye.
Sure, Kevin. Hello? Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. Russ, are you getting out any this week? I think we need to find a common ground to meet up this week.
Yeah. Hey, man, that like a show like that just got produced. This show that we just did is better than most coast to coast AM shit that I've heard. I'm gonna tell you that right now.
I'm actually starting to think our Monday night show should only be these topics. We should not interact with any other type of guests.
You might get tired. You might get tired of that a little bit. It's good to have a variety. It's like even.
Well, I do have some.
Shows,
there is on the next few Monday shows. There is that first segment that's non-political, and there's a last segment. So you guys get like from 10:30 to like either 11:15. So that might be.
I'm more talking about the flow. The flow is good.
Right.
You set it up. Even when we're non-political, though, I feel like when we're talking non-political, a lot of times. So we've had a few that are a little mundane or a little mediocre, but for the most part, we figure it out.
We've gotten better with this flow, right? Yeah. We have gotten better. So it was fun. I like the people who called in and. Go ahead.
You should do a highlight reel, dude. You should do a highlight reel of the Monday night show. Because what you're going to do, what you do with that highlight reel is it's like a demo tape.
If I need to go there.
Yeah, you do that demo tape. You send it to like HAS. You send it to when you send it to some of these
places.
We're
restricted.
You never know.
We are restricted with that kind of radio.
So what? You don't think? We're not. we're clever enough to get around that. I mean, to navigate that shit.
Well, we'll have to see. We have people listening to us. We have some people who are paying attention to our shows, and and I'm gonna try to do my best to manipulate our situation with them. And
we need to get on Matt Jones, dude. It's not sports, but we need to be the Matt Jones of local. Politics. Or what was that crazy bitch's name that went out to Colorado and came back? Mindy something or another. Mindy McConnell or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Back and then, came back on to WHAS or something, right?
Yeah. Is she still there or did she fall apart again? I thought she got fired.
I might find out. I'm going to find out what she is because that's exactly what I know what you're talking about. So
if she can have a job, we can have a job because she is a nut ball, dude.
All right, that's a good call. All right, I got to shut this down. All right, for Russ Hinkle, Kevin Hale, shooting from the lip, 240. We bid everyone a great night and a upcoming Tuesday. Peace out, Louisville.
All hell trouble, President Pence. Later.
Yeah.
At no time were any animals or people hurt during this presentation of Shooting from the Lip.